Another story. The British High Commission on Wednesday announced that it is collating relevant information about some Nigerians who engaged in anti-democratic actions during the elections with a view to taking action against the individuals. The Commission also stated that it was concerned by the use of inflammatory ethno-religious language by some political figures and called on all leaders to distance themselves from the use of such inflammatory language, as well as prevent those who speak on their behalf from doing so. On February 21st, Andrew Mitchell, the UK Minister of State for Development and Africa, announced that the UK is prepared to take action against those who engage or incite electoral violence and other anti-democratic behaviors. And the action could include preventing people from obtaining UK visas or imposing sanctions under their human rights sanction regime. Well, this is coming as Bayo Onanuga, media aide to President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu, came under heavy criticism after posting a viral tweet warning Obi'S never to interfere in Lagos politics. Well, on Wednesday, Onanuga posted another tweet claiming that the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, is trying to treat Tinubu just as retired military head of state Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida did to MKO, whose presidential election victory got annulled 30 years ago. Well, let's take his tweet. Well, Bayo wrote, Peter Obi of the Labour Party seeks the annulment of the election of President-elect Bola Tinubu, just like the military annulled MKO Abiola's election of June 12, 1993. Team Tinubu will certainly meet you in court. There's been a lot of reactions to this story. Dr. Abati, I'd like yours first before I take a reaction.
Well, I mean, it's not up to Mr. Bayo Onanuga, to determine what will happen in this particular case. The matter is already before the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, and it is for the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal to look at the prayers and the grounds of petition that have been presented before that court by the presidential candidate of the Labour Party and the Labour Party. And may Mr. Onanuga also be reminded that it's not just the Labour Party that has gone to court. 3 other political parties have gone to court. The People's Democratic Party, the Action Alliance, and the Allied People's Movement. All of them saying that there were not just irregularities in that election, but that also the candidate of the APC was not qualified, and that in any case the election the outcome was invalid because INEC did not even follow its own laws, in addition to allegations of irregularities. Now, because in our system, what we run, is an accusatorial system, the onus is on those parties that have gone to court to prove it. So it's not about Mr. Onanuga saying he wants to annul the election. Once the matter is before the court, I think everybody should allow, the matter due process to take its course. That's one point there. As for the, the British saying that they are compiling a list of persons who will be sanctioned, the position that is being expressed by the UK authorities is the same position expressed earlier by the US. And the US is also saying that, look, persons who may have sabotaged the 2023 electoral process in Nigeria will be denied their visas, and that, sanctions will come. The clear implication is that we live in a world where no country lives in isolation, where what you do is observed by other countries, where impunity in any part of the world can be sanctioned by other, members of the international community. In other words, the world is watching. The second thing, of course, the point not made by the UK, made by the US, is that Nigeria itself should ensure that electoral offenders are punished so that people can learn the appropriate lessons, so that, the reign of impunity will not become a cultural thing, in Nigeria's electoral process. The only caveat to add in all of this is that the UK authorities and the US authorities, yes, they send their observers to watch that election. Maybe it's also possible to even encourage Nigerians to create a channel for Nigerians to come and report the persons who were electoral offenders. Some of them are very well known. because it will be embarrassing to discover along the line that some critical offenders were overlooked, you know, by the international community. If we sit here now, we can, in fact, quickly collate some names and say, US, don't give this person visa for life. We can say, UK, never allow this person to come to, you know, to UK, any part of UK, to come and pollute the environment. Because these are the persons who have embarrassed Nigeria by promoting irregularities, by promoting conflict, and behaving like they don't even care.
All right, well, Ayo, before I come to you, I'll take a reaction regarding Bayo Onanuga's tweet. I mean, that tweet went viral. This is from Investigate, Prosecute, Confiscate. They wrote, the circumstances surrounding the elections of Bola Tinubu and Chief MKO Abiola are vastly different. And any comparison by Bayo Onanuga between the two is a misrepresentation of history. Chief MKO Abiola won the people's mandate in a free and fair contest, whereas Bola Tinubu's election was characterized by vote rigging, violence, fraud, and intimidation, making it the worst election in modern history. Bola Tinubu should know better, as he was on the side of the fence fighting against such malpractices in those days. To suggest we compare the two elections is misleading and potentially harmful, particularly if such a comparison is used to undermine the legitimacy of the fragile democratic process in Nigeria. Over to you, Ayo.
All right. First of all, let me just say that, to Doctor's point, people have actually signed petitions online identifying some specific people that the UK and the US shouldn't give visas to. So the people are speaking up. Now, with regards to this, I'm glad, since this is trending, I will quote a spotlight by Abby on Twitter, who had actually gone to dig up an old video where Tunde Abiola was speaking to a guest on the show, and who other than to speak about her father's legacy than the daughter of the man in question. And she spoke about how, shall I say, the proliferation of the name and legacy of her dad, where people kept calling on him or using his name to push an agenda. As we see in this case with Mr. Bayo Onanuga, comparing what happened in 1993 to what's happened now. Many people have said that the only similarity between Chief MK Abiola and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the style in which they ran the election is that they ran on a Muslim ticket. In terms of other things that have trailed his campaign, his candidacy, the people, or what they are seeking in court, very different. First of all, in 1993, there was no court process to seek an annulment. The order was made by the then military head of state, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. In this case, well, in terms of that, seeking redress, or the opposition party seeking redress, and they're the ones calling for an annulment. That's the point I was trying to make. Then in this case as well, it's interesting that the APC, where the loudest go to court, had the loudest voice in this. And now that Mr. Peter Obi, rather than calling for a revolution or asking people to go to the streets, is seeking redress in court as it's allowed by law. They are now court shaming him, if I put it that way. There was voter suppression. Please let there not be justice suppression. Let every man have his day in court if he feels aggrieved and can present evidence enough to convince the justices that he has a court to prove. APC and Mr. Bayo Onanuga, speaking on behalf of the APC, should please desist from trying to speak to people and skew the narrative or change the story and make it seem as if what Mr. Peter Obi is not within his legal rights as a Nigerian who wants to seek redress.
Absolutely, I like that point. Rufai.
Let me use Dr. Abbas's word. It's all a game. And this is the game of ethnic baiting. And we should be watchful. And please, I would like to call on everybody and all politicians. If we want peace, we must have it with justice, and we must stop the ethnic baiting. We all know when you mention June 12 what it skews towards. So it's a deliberate attempt to be able to rile a base up, saying that they should not take the mandate like they took the mandate of a certain group of people in June 12. And we should be careful. See, this person is a master media craftsman. He's been at this job for over 50, 60 years. He knows what he's doing. He knows the kind of message he's putting forward. And people should not fall for it. I have been able to establish, there's a huge difference between what happened in June 12. But this is ethnic baiting. And we shouldn't do this. See, if we want peace, and the togetherness of this country. A lot of people have touted the court process. Let justice be done in court. After justice is done in court, then people can start looking at reconciliation, because in the end, we still have to build our country one way or the other. And all of this will be behind us. A couple of months from now, after court cases and everything, we'll still have to sit on the table. But we can only do that with justice. And we will remember the things people said before now. 2 direct tweets. Constant ethnic baiting. The first tweet was saying Igbo should have nothing to do. Ethnic baiting, first tweet in Lagos politics. The second tweet was saying that if anything happens to the mandate, it will be seen like what happened in June 12th. Deliberate targeted attempts. We'd like to beg, please stop heating up the polity.
Absolutely.
It is best you get off Twitter now, because people are taking records of the things that have been said.
True.
Because in one breath, you're calling for de-escalation and healing, and you are going back to Twitter to heat up the polity and do ethnic baiting. We all know this game is crystal clear to all of us.
All right, then.
Let's not play it. It will not all go well for Nigeria. Let the court process finish. Whoever gets justice gets justice. Afterwards, we will sit down. Then justice will be done and people will demand accountability, and we will come together and move on. I beg again, let us stop this ethnic baiting game.
All right.